Hey guys, we're back at it again finally. Life happens, and sometimes things don't go the way they want to. We're getting ready to put the front cover on. There's a core plug that needs to, oil galley plug that needs to go in. And we're going to use our, if I can get it to come out, it's cold, some number 2 gasket, seal it up good. This stuff seals good, but it's really can make a mess. Just right here. Now, this is the main oil galley, so it's got to be sealed. And it just takes a 3/8. Oh, I thought I had it started. It just takes a 3/8 ratchet, just plugs right into it. There we go. Oh, wrong one. Stand by. I got a special bolt for this. Okay, guys. It's actually 5/16. So what I do is took a 1/2 inch bolt, ground it. Come on, focus. And ground it to a 5/16 square on a grinder. It's not a big deal. Alright. That should do it. Now we'll get ready to put the front cover on. By the way, this is the last chance to check you've got all the core plugs in for the front of the engine. And if you'll remember, it's one right here behind the gear, one right here behind the gear, and the one we just put in. That's it. If you don't have those in, you're going to have a no start, because these two are the lifter valleys, oil pressure, and this one is the main galley, so you won't have any oil pressure to do anything with. You'll have oil pressure, but not much, and it's all going to be, this one will pump oil right out on the ground, so, because the cover goes around it, as you'll see in a second. There's one more core plug. It's not really in the front cover portion of the engine. It's right here. And that is, it just takes a pipe plug. But one thing to mention is, if you're running a bypass cooler, a bypass oil filter, I'm sorry, that is a good place to pull it, because you're pulling right off the main galley. The other place is off the filter adapter, oil cooler and filter adapter. I'll show you, that's where I usually pull mine. That's where I got it on my other engine. If you're going to locate the bypass filter up towards the front of the engine, you might want to pull it here, and then you can of course dump right here, because that goes into the block. I used the back ones on the last time I did one, and that bypass filter adds quite a bit of filtration. It's actually a good idea to get some really good longevity out of the engine. So we'll put a core plug in here for now, and if we decide to, that's where we want to tap in for the bypass oil filter, we'll just pull it. So I'm going to put that in, and it's this plug here, which is 1/4 inch NTP, and it does take a 1/4 inch ratchet, so you just goop it up and put it in with a ratchet, which is not a big deal. Messy, but not a big deal. Yeesh. I hate that stuff. Another good place to, a lot of guys forget that one. They'll just pump oil out all over the ground. And like I said, you just put a 1/4-inch ratchet in there and in she goes. No need to get it gorilla tight. It's just 50 pounds of oil pressure on a pipe plug that is sealed, so it's really not going to leak. Alright, now let's get the cover. Something to note, this comes in the Molly gasket kit, excuse me, along with another small tube, and this is Ford stuff, silicone. I think they're all the same, but for this front cover and the oil pan, we're going to use this. Oh, and the back cover, I'm sorry, yeah. Because that's what the engine was put together with, so we'll go ahead and use it. Okay, all the usual precautions go when using silicone. I'm going to clean the mating surfaces with some alcohol. Make sure there's no oil. You don't want to use acetone because it'll take this paint off. Alcohol's not going to bother, but it will take the oil off. Alright. And then I've got the cover right here. Turn the camera. I never could figure out why Ford built this gasket this way. Why not just make the gasket the whole length? But you know, it is what it is. So we'll clean this with the same thing. Make sure there's no oil, because silicone will not seal if there's oil on it. Alright. Next is put the silicone on. Let's do that. I was going to use the stuff in the caulking gun, but I'm waiting on some parts yet, so I don't want to lose it as it dries in the tube. So we'll fit the gasket in. And we'll just put a bead in here. Oh, this stuff is, yeah, it is the gray, okay. Go over the end of the gasket a little bit to hold it in while we lift it on there. I guess that's it. Put the cap on this stuff. Alright. To mount the cover, 3 long bolts, excuse me, 3 short bolts, 1 long. Let me turn the camera. So here we go. Ooh. Try that again. Here we go. All right. It's actually a pretty close fit. As far as just slide it on there. So Now the silicone says to spin these up finger tight, put the water pump on, and then tighten everything as a unit. So I'm going to use the old speed wrench here and just run them in. All right, and as you can see, there's a little tiny bit of squeeze out already, so we got a good seal on that. So next is a water pump. So let's prepare that. To install the water pump, it takes this set of bolts. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 short ones and 3 long ones. I got these from Riff Raff because the bolts I pulled out were all rusted, corroded. That's typical water pump crap, so I don't even remember how much they were. They were under 20 bucks, I think. And if you're going to go all this effort to put this in, why not put fresh bolts in? Let me cut this package open and we'll get them in. So here's the new water pump. I use Gates water pumps. I've had real good luck with them on everything that I put them in. Never had one come back, so. And this gasket is supposed to stay in there. Let's see if it does. We'll see how she looks here. All right. Sure is nice working with clean parts. She's on there now. Alright. That's a long one. That's a short one. Let's spin those in so it don't move around too much. Gasket looks good. Torque on these is 15 foot-pounds. So let's set the wrench and go ahead and get them in. Let me get the long ones in. That's way too long. That's better. That's good. That one's way too long. I don't know where it came from. We'll use one of our old bolts. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I can pull that one down for some reason. Where's the old one? Yeah, here's the originals. And actually, that's in my other bag. Let me find that bolt real quick. That's the one out of the Riff Raff package. That's the one that was in that hole originally. Alright, let's set the torque wrench up and get them torqued in. Okay, 15 foot-pounds. Here we go. short ones in first. Hard to do 15 foot-pounds because you want to keep going. Okay. Creep up on it slow. Okay. Now let's do the front cover. But, you know, it's just the front cover. Oops, I missed one. So, that long bolt that we took out, it's actually in the wrong spot. It goes right here. So that riff-raff kit is accurate. I was the one that was wrong. Go figure. Alright. Let's just go around checking once. Start right here and go around. Okay. 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 And the last two. The bolts stretch a little bit. I think we'll torque them again and let them sit for a while. Work on that gasket and we'll hit them again. Alright, that's front cover. Pretty cool. Next thing is the thermostat and the lower housing. Now in a Ford water pump, this is cast in. Gates uses a steel unit that bolts on. I don't think it matters too much as long as they don't leak. I did buy a thermostat cover, a billet one, because the steel one seems to just degrade and look awful after a short time. So I bought this one, but I didn't buy a thermostat. So that's interesting. We'll have to put a thermostat on order and put that in when it comes in. Let's just put, I don't want to lose these, so we'll put them in finger tight. That's kind of fun. I looked all over the place. Not saying I didn't order one, I just can't find it. I don't think I did though. I'll check my parts list. Seems like a pretty nice anodized aluminum housing. We'll leave these screws proud so we don't forget it. So we can go oil, we can go low pressure oil pump or high pressure oil pump. I think we'll do both today. Get those in. I'm working on the oil pan. I've got something I'll show you guys when it's done for the dipstick problem. And then I'll post the drawings and dimensions of what I built for. It's a permanent fix though. So let's move on. Okay, for oil pump, chose a Melling, of course. I mean, who else would you go to for oil pump, right? There's a new gasket. Some destructions, so you can make sure you check it after you put it in. Just kidding. Not too much to this thing. Of course, we're going to clean it in the parts washer. Just because it's new doesn't mean it doesn't need clean. Thing about these oil pumps, you'll see, well, you should see, I don't see it on here. Wow. That's interesting. Set that the way it came out. There's usually one that says out or damper. But this is a redesigned pump from Melling. I'll go check it. I know it's got one extra lobe in it to provide more volume, and it's just their stock replacement, says number 208. And it's already got the seal installed, so we're good on that. So let me go check the documentation on this to make sure we actually get it in correctly, because on the original pumps there's a marking. In fact, let me go get it and I'll show you. Okay, old one, new one. You can see the lobe count difference. It's actually less lobes, but they're deeper bore. And there's our sign. It says, let me get that in focus there. It says damper. That goes towards the damper. The new pump is not marked as such. And before I stick it in, I'm going to go check this documentation on this Melling pump and make sure there's not some special caveat we have to do before we install it, so we actually have oil pressure when we run it. So let me check that. Now we'll get back to this. Okay, none of the documentation says anything, and the paper that comes with it does say that it's a 10-tooth instead of 14. Provide improved oil supply to the engine. Okay, and that's it. It doesn't say anything except torque spec on it. So it's very clean because it was in a plastic bag. But I think I'm going to run the gears through the parts washer. I can't the housing because it's got a seal in it. But we can clean the rotors in the parts washer and then get them ready for install. So you never want to put an oil pump in dry. So they're in the same arrangement they were installed in, so we're going to dip them in our can of oil that we use for the piston ring. I put a box from the water pump, actually. That's tight. Come on. Get that lubed up some. There we go. Put the rotor in. These pins are offset. They only go in one way. Okay. And we'll just let the excess oil. Alright. The 4 screws out of the old pump. Also 10 millimeter. Use a spinner. Torque them to 20 foot-pounds. Not much to it. Okay. Oops, I hit the let's just torque them up, just tighten them up just a bit. Then we'll torque them. Because they're just in their finger. Alright, now let's do it. I don't think there's any sequence, so we'll just go across. I've really grown to like this torque wrench. Done. Okay, let's get ready to put the high pressure oil pump together. Before I forget, let's put this elbow on. There's an O-ring, and then there's a square cut gasket. I assume the square cut gasket was for, yeah, you can see the hole, was for the thermostat, so this must be going on here. It's not marked, so I'm going to put some oil on it to ease it in. And it came with the screws. No torque setting, so I assume it's 15 pounds like the rest of the the rest of the water pump. So that's probably a 13 millimeter, I'll bet. here. And 13. And we'll torque it in. Okay. Take it to 15. I don't know if I can get this in there. Another one. Nope. Okay. Stand by. Okay. By the way, 15 foot-pounds is 180 inch-pounds. So I just use the inch-pounds tool. We'll get it torqued up here. Okay. Okay guys, we're going to put the anti-drain back valve in. The seat never came out, and it probably won't for yours either. Mine went through the hot tank and everything, and the seat never came out. So, but I did have to order some O-rings, and that's the part number. They just came in. So let's get this in. Once again, we're going to lube everything up. So the ball goes in first, the spring, put a little oil on the O-ring, and finally the seat. This would have been a lot easier with the cover off, but we'll get it in there. I hate to do this with a socket wrench, but it's the only thing I can get in there. There we go. Not a big deal, just kind of a tight fit. I have no idea what the torque's supposed to be. Let me look it up. Seems the torque spec is 28 foot-pounds. So, away we go. All right. I'll make sure to put a note of that. It's hard to find that detail. But, by the way, the O-ring part for that, it's actually an international part number. Ford doesn't sell it anymore. Come on, focus, good Lord. There it is. Come on. There we go. So I thought I hadn't bought a thermostat. I did. There's the part number. It's a riff-raff order. It came with the, when I ordered the bolts for the water pump. So let's get this in. There is a difference between the 96 and before and 96 and later, and the difference is the length of the thermostat. This this part right here hits on that interface there. And if you buy the short one, it's about that much shorter. It'll never work right. So you need to make sure you get the right one. Alright. I like this housing, it's very nice. Let me get a speed wrench and we'll get this in. It's a 5mm Allen head. Bring it down even here. I can see why this thing is so popular. It's a well-made piece. Alright, let's torque it down. You get a torque wrench. Okay, torque is 110 inch-pounds. I'm going to take them down even. Okay, so thermostat's in. I think we're going to hold right here and flip it over and put the oil pan on. It's probably going to take 2 people to flip this thing because it's a little top heavy. But we've got the rear cover to put on, which we will do probably from a chain sling because the engine stand is in the way. So what we'll do is hook it up, put that stand on, or take it off the stand, put the chain lifts on it, and then put it on the engine hoist, do the back work as it's hanging, and remount it to the stand, and upside down, and put the oil pan on. And then flip her back over and finish. We have all the high pressure oil pump stuff to put in. I haven't put any injectors in yet. That's all the goodies that we got sitting over there. And the turbo's got to go on yet. There's a bunch of stuff yet. But it's getting there. And it looks pretty good. Hope she runs good. We'll see what it does. Okay, as a point of reference, there's a couple things we're missing on the back here. Before we can put this engine cover on, we've got to have this plug in, which is the other end of the valve oil galley. This one's the other valve oil galley. And this one down here is just sitting in there. That's the main galley. We have to plug that. Plus we have 2 core plugs to put in. So there's a little bit of work to do on the back of the engine. And I haven't got these plugs yet. I ordered them. We'll see how long it takes to get here. When they get here, we'll sling it and do this whole thing. We also have to pull, I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it. We need to pull this wear ring off. And what we'll do is take a die grinder, slit it almost down till it's completely slit, and then take a cold chisel and give it a wrap and it'll break loose. And I don't have the tool to put it on with, but there's an easy way to put these on. You use the, this is a manual truck engine, so we're going to use the flywheel and just press it on. we'll start this new one on, and you have to put Loctite on it. We'll cover that when we get there, though. It's not that hard. And we'll just use the flywheel to press it on instead of spending $400 for a rig to remove and install it. We'll save that money for something else, because there's a lot to do on this truck. So, thanks for watching.